The light of life shines brightest when you're living on your edge. That edge, it's different for different people. I think we can really embrace the fact that we're all just passing through, and that this moment, this present moment, it's fleeting, just like the way your vehicle is fleeting. We challenge ourselves, but it's in that present razor's edge of life and death that you really feel alive. The people of Terlingua really make the experience so worthwhile. What's your story going to be? What is your edge? If you'll recall, back when you were a kid, right? That anticipation that you had if you were going to go on a family trip, or maybe it was the night before Christmas. You've already packed pretty much the whole day before. You've gone through your checklist. You finally end up drifting off to sleep, sometime after midnight, but it's tossing and turning, because you know that about 6 a.m. the alarm's going to go off. And people start trickling in. I love you too.
Oh my God.
Hey, Oscar.
Hey,
First round of diesel's on you.
Oh, is it?
You have to have us so late.
I didn't I'm like 9 minutes late.
Oh, yeah, it's Laredo early.
It's Laredo early.
Bye, little lady.
Adrian, I love you.
And you've got to get everything ready to go. All aboard, and double check one last time. So the question is, what is finding your edge? It's about pushing yourself, and physically, and setting those challenges. If I don't have a ride, if I don't have an adventure around the corner, then I don't really have the reason to get myself moving and get myself in shape. There needs to be something around the bend that I can prep for. And a big part of living on your edge is arranging your life in a way, shuffling the pieces around so that you've got that thing that's over there on the other side of the horizon that you know you're going to need to be working towards. One of the trails that we took it upon ourselves to go and hike was the Pine Canyon Trail. And what's notable in that trail is all of the sotol. Our good friend Frank, who's from New York, who I think he does it on purpose, mispronounces everything. And I asked him, hey, Frank, what's this? Frank, I'll give you a hint. They make a drink out of it. What's it called?
Sotol.
Sotol.
Yeah, not so tall. And so, we're all kind of, cackling that he doesn't know how to say sotol. And so every time we go to Terlingua, we stop off at shot times to get a bottle of sotol, right? You gotta, be one with the desert. So let's taste the spirit of the desert. And so we're there and we're buying this bottle of sotol, and on the wall is this sign that says 2023 Alien Abduction Festival. Obviously, we're intrigued. So here we are, this alien abduction festival. The Red Elvises were playing. It was put on by a group of friends in memory of someone who was tragically murdered there at the Kiva in Terlingua, Texas. The Kiva was a bar that was kind of underground right on Terlingua Creek. And so we're at this festival, and the music was great, the entertainment was great. They had this great bonfire in the middle of the night. I mean, people are showing up on horseback, they're camping there, they're staying the night there. And again, like, we just end up meeting such kind people. The famous Terlingua graveyard. What was interesting about the graveyard, you can read the tombstones and it goes to the 1800s and up to today. Even recently, people that have passed away are buried there, and that timeline goes from predominantly Latinos that were buried there that worked the mines to nowadays you're starting to see people with Anglo names buried in the graveyard.
This thunderclouds are building up over on the county line. All the neighboring farms get rain, but I never get a drop on mine. You might think a little old summer breeze couldn't do nobody harm, but it burns like a blazing blowtorch when you're living on a dry land farm.
And so while we were there at our campfire service, we had this amazing jam session with J. Michael Combs, Butch Hancock, and a lady that I got to know by the name of Evie.
I must say that a mouthful is more than I can chew. I've swallowed a gallon for every acre, and God knows it hurt, but it ain't as bad as the trouble I had breaking up that dry land dirt.
She's singing this song called Te Amo, I Love You, that involves her and this fella named Cowboy Doug and their walks through the desert at night, and how she could hear the coyotes in the distance. And in that song, she thought she heard the words Te Amo, I love you.
Standing shoulder to shoulder, looking at the nighttime in the desert. You took me by the hand and held me tight. Thought I heard you whisper, Te amo. Saw it in your eyes, Te amo. Walking hand in hand through the
she says, I almost married that son of a bitch 3 different times. As we're wandering and stumbling through the cemetery at night ourselves, we're reading the different tombstones, and there's a tombstone for Cowboy Doug. Instead of using rocks to put on top of the grave or cement, they were all these empty bottles of alcohol. Cowboy Doug had an addiction, and it was an alcohol problem, as so many folks out there struggle with, not just in Terlingua, but in general, with addiction to alcohol. And there was nothing really read on his tombstone. And so I took the liberty of making one up. Douglas Paul Blackman, better known as Dr. Doug, ascended at age 63 and hailed from Terlingua, Texas. Doug, the last of 8 children, learned early on that the tricks of survival had to do with living, laughing, loving, and playing music. He later became known as the borderline pseudo-psychiatrist who ran the largest open-air insane asylum from the porch at the Terlingua Trading Post, where he combined mental health therapy and medicine for a small fee. Here's wishing Dr. Doug Godspeed on his travels through the cosmos. Living on your edge is not about staying on the same beaten path that you've been walking down over and over again. Living on your edge is about embracing the uncertainty and the unknown. Evie's still living on her edge. She's still chasing sunsets. She's still making music with her friends and laughing and loving, and more than anything else, probably just allowing the desert to continue to sharpen her senses. No one ever grows professionally, personally, physically, or spiritually for that matter, from the comfort of their air-conditioned sofa or their addictions or attachments or bad habits. The real growth happens outside of your comfort zone. It happens in adversity. It happens very much in the unknown. It's in the unknown where the opportunities exist. And that's how and where you will sharpen your edge.
This thundercloud's building up over on the county line. All the neighboring farms you rain, but I never get a drop on mine. You might think a little old summer breeze couldn't do nobody harm, but it burns like a blazing blowtorch when you're living on a dry land farm. When the west wind comes blowing, sand comes blowing too, and I must say that a mouthful is more than I can chew. I've swallowed a gallon for every acre, and God knows it hurt, but it ain't as bad as the trouble I had breaking up that dry land dirt.